Good afternoon, folks. A couple of weeks back had a request for a short video on saddle stitch. So as it's raining and blowing an absolute gale outside, I thought I'd put something together quickly. So I'll just go through the tools quickly, and then I'll move the camera around and I'll show the basic techniques. So first off, the tools, we've got mallet here. We've got a pricking iron, which is, let's see if I'll move it into the camera. This particular pricking iron is 8 SPI, or 8 stitches to the inch. You get a range of sizes for pricking irons, all the way from 4 or 5 right up to 15 or 16. I'm not sure my eyesight's up to 15 stitches to the inch, but a number 8's a fairly good middle size. It's what's generally used, 7 or 8. This tool is what we use to mark a line for the stitching. So as you can see, I'll just tip that, bring it out towards the camera. Right, you can just see the line there. You can see I've actually started to mark my stitch line with the pricking iron. Also on the table we've got the thread we're going to be using and a couple of needles. Why do we need two? Well, I'll hold those so you can see them, it would help. Why do we need two? When you're doing saddle stitch, you actually have a needle at either end of your piece of thread, and I'll go through that in a minute. The other tool I've got on the table is an awl. As you can see here, I've got it stuck in a piece of cork. The reason for that is to protect the blade, both from damaging the blade and damaging me, because as you can see from that is extremely sharp. That's a diamond awl. Best bit of advice I ever got was, if you ever drop it, don't try and catch it. I did drop it on one occasion and ended up having to extract it from the floor in my old flat. So what I'm going to do now is attempt to mark some stitches. I'm not sure how well this is going to work on camera, purely because I'm working in a shed and the floor's not quite as solid as it could be. So what you do is, I'll zoom in and turn the camera around. There we are. Sorry about that. Right, so as you can see, I've already got my stitch marks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap by, in this case I will overlap by 3, and I will give it a tap, overlap, and give it a tap. And I'll just do one more. Now you might note I'm only giving it one gentle tap. The reason for that is this is to mark the stitching. This isn't to go all the way through. These particular pricking irons aren't designed for that. If I was to try doing that, especially through this bridle, I'll most likely break one of the teeth off my pricking iron, and that is definitely not cool. Okay, so I'm just starting to thread up the needle now. So I've got the eye through the thread through the eye of the needle. What I'm going to do now is old saddler's trick to keep your keep it on. I'm actually going to put the needle back through the end of the thread and pull it through, pull it back and lock it off. Reason for that is it keeps your ends nice and tight. Right, so I've now got my needles threaded up, and I'll start to thread them through the leather. What I've done is actually pre-prick the first 3 holes. So what that involves is just literally pushing the awl through so that I've got room to get the needle through. So what I do is I actually put the cord through the second hole in and then work through. So do it the correct way around helps. Right, so put one needle through, see that cross over. Let's just zoom in so you can see what's going on. So zoom that in. You'll also note I've got the awl in the other hand. The reason for that is when you're working, you want to work as quickly as possible. So I've got my crossed over needles. I push the second needle through and I pull the thread from the first needle back. The reason you do that is if you don't, it will thread itself through and you can get yourself in a right royal mess. So do that again, pull through, cross over, pull back, and away we go. So I'm now onto the third hole, same again. So the reason you stitch forward and then back is what we call a locking stitch. It just locks the end of your leather together. So if you've got, normally I would be stitching two pieces of leather together. This is just literally, it's just a length of belts, cut off belt strap. So again, cross over, pull it back, making sure that we don't get our needle through the thread as we go. Now it's a bit difficult doing this and talking at the same time, but right, so there we are. We've now got a length of stitching and we've got all of this to go. So what I'll do is I'll get a little bit further on and I'll get to the far end and I'll show you how to lock off. Right, so as you can see, I've stitched a little way along here. I won't go all the way to the far end. Now there's two ways of locking off. You can do as I did here, stitch forward and then stitch 1.5 stitches back, or if say I'm putting a buckle in, or if I'm putting a keeper in to a piece of leather, then what you can do is you can actually cross over and go back through that way. If I pull that through there, you will see, and the idea of that is use my pliers. This is the other tool that's extremely useful, is a pair of pliers. So pull round that and tighten it up, and same again, back through. Let's just use the pull that out, back out and away, so I don't get myself all threaded up. Put that through there so that I can cross over there. The idea of that is just literally it locks it off, gives it a bit more strength, and it's a little bit more showy, but it does actually give it inherent strength. So what I then do is come through with a needle, back through from the back, I've let go of that needle, which is terribly bad practice, but pull that back through. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Pull through like that, lock it off, and then because that's now on the back side, come through. I'll just open that stitch hole up with the awl, put that through, and then what you do is literally you cut them off. Because this is synthetic thread, I'd normally use a lighter just to singe that and seal it. You've got to be a bit careful you don't melt the whole thing, but that's basically all there is to it. Saddle stitching with 2 needles and an awl. If you like what you see, give us a like, give us a share. I'm going to be putting this on both Facebook and Instagram, and our handle on there is fairly simply @the word 3 COPSE. Thanks very much.